I think we should start with the State of the Union because that was, whoo, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it wasn't what I expected because it was kind of to a T what I expected, but watching it live, I don't know about you guys, it hit different. Like just watching that happen at the State of the Union, watching the creation of a false reality, entirely false reality, and every single Republican goose stepping in rhythm to it. It just hit a little different for me. Did you guys feel the same way? I'll go to you first, Keegan. Or were you just like, yeah, this is what I was expecting?
No, not at all. Dude, for me, I was sitting here, I was going to make this joke. I was like, this was the time where Trump became president. He brought out all the tricks, hiding behind children for his monstrous policies, lying constantly in favor of corporate America, and of course these little anecdotes that are meant to make us feel afraid, and yet all they do is point to like some niche little thing and not a trend at all, but it's meant to manipulate our stupid like ape brains. Honestly, it was pretty much exactly what I was expecting. I was actually shocked as to how normal for the Republicans I thought it was. Now, keep in mind, I've been saying that the Republicans are fascist since like Obama's day. So like my standard assumption is that they will be fascist liars. I'm actually sitting there mostly bored as I go through. I'm like, oh God, we're going through this, huh? Okay. All right. It just felt like we were going through the motions. John, I'm actually surprised by your reaction a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, I was too, Keegan. Like I was also, as I was having the reaction, I was surprised by it because I will, I will make a distinction here between. I agree generally with the analysis. The Republicans have been fascist this entire time, but the blatant extent to which they're used it to at least be pretense. They're used to at least be some level of plausible deniability. And when you watch the president of the United States get up there to the State of the Union address and again, they always lie. Politicians have always lied. This is not surprising to anyone, but the extent of it, not just lying, but inverting reality, just going, hey, Ukraine started the war, and just everyone agreeing with this, even though we were there a couple years ago, all watching it when they invaded. Like, it's just the one that really got me, guys, and this is so small and it's so tedious, but it just really punched me in the gut when he said, and we're going to bring egg prices back down to where they were before Biden. And I'm like, bro, everyone's egg prices were low 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago. Like, how are you just pretending like that didn't happen? Every single grown adult in that room that was a Republican just sat there and clapped for the idea that egg prices were different 4 weeks ago, were not different 4 weeks ago than they are now. And I understand it's always been alive, understand this ideology's always been there, but like, damn, I can't imagine fucking George Bush lying that blatantly. Like,
weapons of mass destruction.
But like, we didn't know at the time. Like, it's not like
I get the
it's
difference.
not like everyone in America visited Iraq and was like, "There's no weapons of mass destruction here," and then he said that. Like, that's the level of lying. It's just seeing it in that setting and not online. It just hit different. TJ, what do you think?
Well, first I want to talk. Yes, I do think we should just go ahead and call the State of the Union, like the joint session of Congress.
So dumb. Why do we do it?
Well, I mean, because the State of the Union is a specific, like, actual, scheduled in time thing that goes back to the days of the founders and everything. So I get it. I know.
Can't you call one whenever? Isn't it? Maybe I was.
You do it once a year. You do it once a year. Like Thomas Jefferson. My favorite State of the Union fact is that the presidents didn't always give the State of the Union address. I don't know when they started doing this. Thomas Jefferson, for example, he would write his out and have someone read it for him because he didn't like giving public speeches. You know when they started, Keegan? You just raise your hand.
Yeah, so Thomas Jefferson actually started the tradition of just submitting a piece
Mhm.
of paper. It was actually Theodore Roosevelt. It took that long.
That
Theodore
wow.
Roosevelt was the first one to get it back online. So Abraham Lincoln never gave an
Get
in-person
State
State
of
of
the
the Union
Union. Yeah.
address, which is kind of wild to think about. By the way,
It is.
I'm autistic, and Thomas Jefferson, like, red flag, very likely on the spectrum. So
Ah,
just wanted to throw that in there.
look at that. Yeah. Don't let
I
anything.
imagine a lot of the 20-something or so founders that had this very intense obsession with this revolution probably were a little bit on the spectrum, a lot of them. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised one little bit.
That was actually the part that surprised me the most, because one of the things that I tried to do just to survive it was I, like, played a video game and had it in the background, and I was good enough at multitasking, but, like, Trump started demonizing autism, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, we're really going there, huh? We're getting a new target. Great. Now I'm glad to be implicated finally, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, the thing with Trump, I actually didn't watch it live. Very irresponsible for someone doing what I do, but I didn't watch it. I just didn't have it in me. I just couldn't, because I was like with you, Keegan, it's like I expected it to be a horror show. I said I'll catch the clips later, and I have. It was pretty much what I expected. Before it actually happened, John and I were having a show yesterday, and I had a suggestion for the Democrats that I wish they would have done because it was great. And what my suggestion was to be as disruptive as possible. Just have all 200 plus people there yelling, screaming, like booing, make Trump like yell his State of the Union speech or whatever and make him work for it. He couldn't have kicked all 200 of them out. It wouldn't have happened. And because don't show it any respect. Like, don't give Trump any gravitas that he has not earned. Treat him like the carnival barker that he is. And my favorite part of it, though, was we complain a lot about the performative outrage that people do. Like, hey, we're all going to wear the same color and hold up these flashcards and hold up a sign saying this is not normal. Something that you would have done in 1985 for protesting something. But everyone loves it's Al Green now. Like Al Green, who I made fun of. I got to say, like last month, I was making fun of him for, I still think it's stupid, the impeachment articles. Absurd waste of time. And he was the guy waving the cane in the Chuck Schumer, we won't rest chance and all that. But him getting up and actually being disruptive to the degree that they cut the fucking sergeant at arms to remove him from Congress, whatever. When I saw that, I thought, what should happen now? If you're Al Green, is you should act exactly like Marjorie Taylor Greene would act if it happened to her. If this happened to her, we would never hear the fucking end of it. She would be bringing it up every day. She'd be going on podcasts. She'd be going on news channels. She'd be writing tweets. She would be incessant, not shut up about it. That's what he should do. That's what everyone on the Democratic side can do. Can you believe they should be talking about this 5 years from now? Can you believe Donald Trump removed a member of Congress from the halls of the Congress during his speech? Like, this is a violation of our free speech. This is against our American values. Like, pounce on it, just jump on it, get people sick of hearing it, just do it all the time. So that's the one positive note that I got from that.
Yeah, TJ, or go ahead, Keegan. I want to hear what you
Yeah, so TJ, you were saying you couldn't watch it live. I didn't watch it live either, and you guys really owe me one, because I was gonna never watch this. I was gonna never have to input this into my brain. You know, a couple years ago, I stopped trying to do the news of the week because I wasn't very good at it, and I started going towards like this evergreen content. I talk about political psychology, but no, you guys dragged me right back in. I got to do this dumb bullshit. I couldn't believe it. Ugh.
We Godfather 3'd him.
Oh God, yes.
We pulled him right back in.
When I started this show, I had to just do a like mind shift because I realized that I was doing too much like, story of the week content, and my other content just took a nosedive because like I was too focused on this sort of shit. But I think I think that you would have been fine, by the way, to just watch the highlights, because anyone who watched I watched the entire thing and was like live tweeting it half the time. But like I was planning on playing video games through it like you. It was like watching a train wreck. It was like I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And TJ, I think like the moment that it really like crystallized for me was when Al Green got thrown out, because I was like, fuck, is he really about to like forcibly throw out a member of Congress?
Yeah, wow.
And the president of the United States, he threw out a member of Congress from the State of the Union. And that to me just feels like a barrier. Like, it feels like something that shouldn't have been breached. It feels like, first of all, I'm not going to say Al Green should have done this because he's an old guy or whatever, but like, it would have been nice if they made him carry him out. Like, that would have been a much better
I was thinking,
But also, the part that really just got me was when they took him out, no one got up with him. I swear to God, I felt so powerless and I felt so proud of Al Green. But when no Democrat they should have continued the protest right from there. By not doing so, they conceded that this is normal, that this is just something the president does. And it was terrifying because that is an elected official, an elected representative that represents real American citizens giving a peaceful protest and getting thrown out. And that should have been, every single one of them should have either got up and walked out with him or just not shut the fuck up for the rest of the time. And they didn't do that. And it was really, the Democrats that went, at least the fucking people at the paddle and the fucking like pink dresses, like not dresses, suit jackets. At least you're trying something. I completely disagree with your analysis of the optics of that, but like, at least you're trying something. The Democrats who went and just sat there, what the fuck are you doing? The Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi's of the world. Every time I went to one of their faces, I was just like, what are you doing here? Why are you legitimizing this? You can't call someone, we've said a million times, you can't call someone a fascist and then act like they're a normal president. You can't do both.
I 100% agree. And this goes back to TJ's point, which is they should not only constantly talk about their freedom of speech being infringed upon, like Marjorie Taylor Greene would whine about, but that this is an authoritarian move. This is what authoritarians do, right? Why are they doing this? So I think the reason is that the Democratic leadership is the same group of people that came in during Reagan, right? So Nancy Pelosi's been there since Reagan. Like, this was their political, like, coming of age time. And in the same way that, like, our understanding might be framed by Bush's lies in the Iraq War and then the Great Recession that he caused, or for somebody a little bit younger than us, it would be Obama running on progressive change and not delivering it, and that being a major political galvanizer for people's politics, or Trump for the younger people. And the Reagan message that people took home is, oh my God, America is super right-wing. Democrats are lucky to ever win outside of strong blue states, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they learned that lesson again. It's the wrong lesson. It's not accurate. You can look at every opinionation poll that you could possibly get, and they all show that a majority of Americans support progressive policy for the most part, right? Americans are a little bit brutal on the border, but outside of that, especially with economics, Americans are pretty progressive. And they're just going to take this Trump victory and go, see, America's still a right-wing country. We have to capitulate. We have to put our heads down. We have to show that we're so reasonable, because only the reasonable people will like us. They just don't know how to appeal emotionally to people. And a lot of it's because they're politicians, man. They're completely hollow. They're like most Republicans. It's just that the Republicans are so good at getting all of their people in line with one message. The Democrats just don't have that kind of leadership, because the Democrats are selected, right? Why do we have the Democrats that we have? Because in the party primaries, there is often a choice between a progressive, fighter and a corporate centrist. And the corporate centrist is almost always better funded. Why are they better funded? Because they're hollow and they'll go along with their donors to maintain power. Because in America, that's how you maintain your power. It's by making your donors happy. And of course, the donors, they don't bribe people that disagree with them into agreeing with them. They invest in people that already agree with them. And the donors want strong Republicans to fight for tax cuts, to fight for corporate deregulation. And the corporate donors also want weak Democrats who won't get any progressive things done when they're in office.
Yeah, the Democrats, like, we mentioned before how a lot of the Democrats that are in power seem to be in power because they like the idea of being politicians. Like, oh, this is cool. This is a cool gig. This is a nice job to have. I get to meet all these famous people. I get to be in the around the levers of power. It's a safe job, pays a decent amount of money. I can get a good lobbying job or a good corporate consulting job when it's all done. But man, the popular people in the Republican Party, they really love what they're doing. You can tell. Like they they either actually believe in conservative values and that they're good for the country, or they genuinely believe that preaching conservative values is personally good for them. One or the other, they genuinely believe what they're doing, and you can tell by how they act. And it's funny you mentioned, Pelosi's been around since Reagan. Like, she had to have come in during the late 80s or something. That's a different universe than exists right now. And the Democrats just haven't caught up with that. So I really like what you said, John. I think that would have been a better idea than the one I came up with, of being disrupted the entire time. That if they had someone like, say they started with Green. My first thought with Green was the same with yours, is that, man, I know he's an older guy, so it's not the same. It's like if we would have done it. But man, if the sergeant at arms came at me while I'm sitting, it's like, I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. Like, you were going to have to, team of wild horses to get me out of here. I'm not moving this spot.
You're not breaking a law. You're not going to suffer any permanent consequences. Make them carry you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Get that visual. Like that would take, and it already took a lot of like the airwaves, but that would just dominate everything that Trump wanted to say.
Yeah.
No one would be talking about it because they carried a member of Congress out.
For once, can cranky grandpa vibes be on our side? Like, he had a little cane, like he should have been like,
Yeah, make them throw, like, he's gonna be like 75. Make them throw a 75-year-old man out of the building, against his will, like physically carry him
while doing it. Who gives?
Yeah, it's like, that would be great.
You're gonna be it from that much longer anyway.
Yeah, like you'll probably need to like get 5 or 6 guys just to get that job done. Then when it's done, next man up. Next person does the same thing Al Green does. Stand up, start yelling, make them do this the entire time. Disrupt the whole speech. Because look, do you have any doubt that the Republicans will do stuff like that whenever we have a Democratic president next? Any doubt that they would do that?
Have.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, just like and we didn't. Funny, they were never tossed out. It's a good point. They actually never tossed out. Trump was the first one to actually do it. So I just wish that this would teach them to update their strategies, just update their tactics. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, they're not going to learn either, because to learn would be to put in more effort and to admit progressives are right and all that kind of stuff. The only way we get the Democrats to learn is if we vote in somebody for the president who clears out all of the corrupt DNC people and gets the Democrats to have a united message. It would need to be somebody like Jon Stewart, because if it was AOC, all of those older Democrats are going to be dismissive and we're not going to do it. As much as I would like AOC, I think there's a lot of ageism, unfortunately, and she would be my preferred candidate based off policy. But Jon Stewart has that liberal appeal,
Keegan, I'm going to agree with you a little bit and disagree a little bit, because I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, you got to build the progressive movement from the ground up. And that is true, but it's a yes and statement, because Trump just proved to all of us that the best way to capture a party is to become incredibly popular in a divided party with about 33% of the vote. That's all you fucking need in a divided enough party, and that's the one we got right now. If AOC can just grab, that part of the vote, and there's enough division among the different wings of the liberal establishment, that could be enough to win and just wipe the entire party clean. It's like, going for, grabbing the stitch, in fucking Quidditch. That was a bad example.
I was going to make a Harry Potter reference too. Oh my god.
Okay, but
Wait,
yeah, okay. So we're doing Harry Potter. Go ahead.
Because like TJ, you were talking about these Democrats. They like being politicians. It's like, yeah, dude, these are like the student body president leadership high school people, right? Like they never grew up beyond that, and there's still that person. It reminds me of the end of Harry Potter, which I only know because of the Sean video on YouTube. I didn't read the books. I'm so sorry. But video, apparently, like the smart girl. The smart girls, Hermione, whatever, she like becomes the prime minister because she got the best grades, and it's like this is how liberals view the world. Right. And they won't learn to be disruptive because they fundamentally don't believe in that. They not only don't believe, they not only fundamentally believe in institutions, that we have to have decorum and be polite, and compromise is good in and of itself, even if it's with the worst people imaginable. But you add on, like, they don't think they'll be popular because they think America's a right-wing country. But anyway, keep going, John.
No, I mean, you're nailing everything right there. The one thing I would disagree with you about is that I think someone like AOC could do it. Like I do think that there are going to be options, and we're going to be grading some of them later today. So stick around. But I'm interested to hear your take, Keegan, because it is something that just doesn't make sense. And like, it made sense to me at a point. You know, you go back to the Obama years, you go back to even Trump 1. I understand fighting for decorum, trying normalcy. And it feels so much to me like we did that with Biden. That's what we tried, and it failed miserably. And they're still so attached to this. I brought it up in the beginning of the show, but Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Democratic leadership met individually with the people who were being disruptive. The Maxwell Frost. I don't know if they did with Al Green, but 10 fucking Democrats voted with Republicans to censure Al Green. Which, again, censorship doesn't fucking matter. We've been very clear about that on this show. It's nothing. But to literally side with the fascists, to hurt one of your own, even if you think that person is in the wrong. I disagree with you that Al Green is in the wrong, but even if you think that, to side with the Republicans is insanity. Insanity. And they truly ideologically believe this to their core, that they should just respect the presidency because it's the presidency, not because of what the president does or who he is. I'm just asking you an open-ended question here as our resident psychologist of politics. What makes a kind of person like that tick? I've never gotten.
So, we can only inductively reason because none of us think that way, right? But the best is that humans really suck at admitting what they're wrong. And the Chuck Schumers of the world are the reason why Trump was able to get power in the first place. And when you realize that, let's say, a disproportionate number of politicians are narcissistic or sociopathic, and all sociopaths are inherently narcissistic, you realize that they will never admit that they're wrong because they're pathologically unable to. Now, I'm not saying that Chuck Schumer as a specific person is a narcissist. Wouldn't surprise me. But a lot of these politicians are. And it's just, oh my God, you think we normal people suck at admitting when we're wrong. Like, literally, a narcissist is incapable of it. So that would be the main one. But it really is like, God, it's so hard to understand, isn't it? I think it's because on some level they believe that by being respectful, history will see them positively. Like, we were in this dark time, but we were the mature, nuanced people that worked our way through the system. They don't really understand that America is it's like the waves on the beach, right? Like, we have like these giant spurts forward, like in the 60s with the civil rights movement, like the 30s with the workers' rights movement, in the 1860s with the Civil War and the civil rights that came after that. But then it like gets eroded slowly over time, and then we have a giant surge forward. They don't understand that. They believe in small ticky-tacky changes over time. And I just think that their relationship with the donor class, of capitulating with the donor class, manifests itself in capitulating with the Republicans.
Well, I don't know anything about psychology or anything. I'm not sure, but I'm going to
know more than you think.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see what this guy. So one of these guys is it Tom Swazi? I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's a New York Democrat, and he voted to censure Al Green. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He says, "I just voted to censure a fellow Democrat in Congress. Instead of focusing on protecting Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and instead of addressing rising costs, fixing immigration in Ukraine, too many Americans are talking about a member of Congress being removed from the chamber. This is not helpful. I'm serious about building bipartisan coalitions to tackle these pressing concerns. It's the only way. Both parties must hold themselves to the same standards if we expect from the other. It's the same standards we expect from the other side. I am angry about plenty that the president is doing and what he has said the other night, but the counterpunch is not working."
They just don't understand media. They don't understand how media works at all. Because here's what you do. Al Green, he got kicked out because he was standing up for Medicaid. He got kicked out because he was standing up for Social Security, and the Republicans want to cut it while hampering our free speech. You wrap it up. It's so easy. We can do it. We can do it. We're just random dipshits in our living room, and we can figure this shit out.
Gigan, he wants bipartisan support. Didn't you hear what the man said? He is looking for.
Was
both
he
sides.
at the State of the Union, TJ? Did he see any bipartisanship going on?
What was his name? Matt Swazitika? What was his name?
It's incredible that anyone goes like the Republicans did it and it worked. We just watched that happen. They did this and it worked. They got delivered the trifecta, and they're idiots. And the only people dumber than them are the people who are like, you know what? I see that it worked for you, but I'm going to keep trying to do the thing that didn't work for me. It is insane.
I'd like to talk about this. This is a very long-standing liberal ideological tendency in the United States, is that compromise for compromise's sake. They believe that by doing compromise, they are upholding democracy fundamentally, and they think that history will see them as such. The problem is the best examples of the like Americans, we didn't all agree, but we came together and compromised. I think of like the Missouri Compromise or like the 1850 Compromise, right? Where it's like these things, it's like, well, we the compromisers, we're the ones that held off the Civil War. But those radical abolitionists, it's their fault that this violence is. If we could all just work with the slave owners, we would have a better country. And it's like, no, the reason why the Civil War got so bad is because we kept putting off the problem.
Yep. They're all like, you know, that thing that nobody cares about? That's our number one thing. We're going to really push for all of the decorum and the standards and stuff because, like John said, if you really cared about it, fine, I understand. In fact, I guess I would prefer it. Like, I would prefer things to be, you know, civil and mature. But clearly, the voters could not be more clear that that is not a number one priority for them. Like, it's not. It would be one thing if you were, you know what? This would be acceptable. Well, not acceptable, but more understandable if they were actually pushing for stuff that we really wanted. Like, they were really charging on all the hard issues. But the fact that they're doing neither is really really disappointing. And like the bipartisan part of what he says, what got me the most is where he's saying stuff like, you know, we really got to work together with the other side. It's like, have you seen the other side? Like, Donald Trump stood up there and said, the Democrats, not scientists, but the Democrats are out there getting money for transgender mice. A statement that makes no sense at all, at all. But then they point out, well, no, it's transgenic. Like, this is not and mice don't have gender in the way that we have it. They don't have, you know, societal norms and stuff like that, where male mice don't wear different clothes than female mice. Okay, it doesn't work that way. But you point it out to them, and what do? They either ignore it, or if you point out that that's not the face, that's not what the facts are, they just laugh. They think it's funny. Oh, look how triggered you are. We really got you libs, didn't we? There's no compromising with folks like that. Okay, their only goal is to see people suffer. And even the people that they always say that they care about, like, say, oh, we really want to do stuff to help veterans. Trump wants to cut 80,000 jobs from the Veterans Affairs. Great. This will be good for the government. We really care about, or this will be good for the country. We really care about egg prices. Egg prices have doubled in the last 2 months. Well, that's fine. This is all we need to do for Trump. We're putting on tariffs. Well, we're threatening tariffs, then backing off, then threatening tariffs and backing off, destabilizing the nation, destabilizing our relationships with friendly allies like redundancy, with allies like Canada, Mexico, the European Union. Making the United States a less stable place across the world. No, this is grave. They're nihilists. They don't really care about any of this stuff. There's no compromise with it. Treat them like the unserious people they are.
And think about how much they hide behind kids while they're taking away school lunches, and Medicaid, which disproportionately covers kids, and food stamps, which disproportionately feeds hungry children, because 1 in 7 kids in the United States is food insecure. So on one level, I think that what's going on is that there are a lot of people who are in the Congress who are on the Republican side who behind the scenes don't like Trump. They don't want to be like Trump. They just go with it publicly. And I think that to a certain extent, the Democrats keep relying on that as if it's going to come to pass. Now, I want to address bad tendency for people on the left. The left wing of which I am a part of, is stereotyped as having this kind of insular, not just infighting, but like we want the club to be small, right? Don't want to open up to like people who are formerly right wing because they're stained, you know?
Yeah.
And this is the stereotype, right? And that like we want to be an exclusionary small community. And the reason for that is because the people that are guilty of that, they want to feel like they're special. They want to feel like they're one of the good ones, that they are a rare person that is actually really moral. Well, the Democrats have a very similar thing going on where they want to perceive themselves to be in the rude country of black and white thinking. We are the nuanced, decorum, polite people. We're really above it all. It's like grad student brain, but like you know how the Democrats are criticized for like talking in grad school terms and not connecting with normal people. It's kind of like that, but with like sticking your nose up in the air and, oh, I'm just more mature. And they want, in a way, to be rare in that sense, because then they're special. They're one of the good ones. They're more advanced. They're superior.
I think that's a very fair assessment of like what is appealing about that to both sides. And I'm not even going to really address what you said because I don't disagree with it. But I'm just going to say that personally, one of the things that State of the Union changed for me is like, this is broadcast in front of everyone. Everyone sees this, that the stock market is actively crashing as it continues to crash. It's getting to the point for me, and I'm someone who's like, we have to keep our arms open. But like, until the moment that they say, hey, I'm starting to question shit, I'm getting less and less able to deal with anyone who is supportive of this, because it's so clear what they're doing. They must know that these are just blatant lies. And even the smart ones, like the argument Trump is making is accelerationism, is we need to break a lot of shit and regrow it because it'll be better. And like, that's so bad. And everyone who supports it is going to kill thousands, if not millions of, like thousands of people here, millions of people across the globe, and for the rest of our lives, damage our relationship with the rest of the world. It's to the point where I'm struggling to talk with those people. I'm struggling.
They're too far gone.
This conversation.
The Trumpies, it's just like what TJ said. TJ nailed it. See, I told you, you know more about psychology than you think. Okay? They are nihilists. They don't believe in anything. They don't care about facts. What they care about is hurting the people that make them feel negative emotions. Whether that's trans people, they get freaked out with trans people, so they want the government to stop people from being trans. The immigrants scare them, so they want to get rid of the immigrants. The drug users are scary, put them behind bars, you know. Women, women are scary, you know, very scary. Women's rejection, very scary, you know. So they want to take away women's financial freedom so that they can't reject so easily.
Guys, thank you very much for watching. Either you think that we can accomplish great things and you will subscribe to this show so we can do it together, or you think we're a bunch of doo-doo heads doomed for spending eternity just banging our heads against a wall, in which case you're going to enjoy it with us. So like and subscribe. If you want to know where to find our wonderful guest, Keegan Tatum, Keegan, please let our guests know where they can find you.
So the best place is TikTok at Keegan Tatum, KeeganTatum. I talk about the psychology of politics primarily, though I will talk about broader political issues as well. So TikTok is the best. It's the most up to date. It's got all my stuff there. You can subscribe. You know, you got to give me that $5 a month, right? I'm also on Instagram. If you don't have TikTok, all my stuff is also posted there. And then YouTube, again, all of it is at Keegan Tatum. The advantage of the YouTube is that while I don't have all my shorts up yet, I do have longer form videos such as why are old people more conservative? What is the psychology behind transphobia in much longer form? So Keegan Tatum is the place to go at whatever social media you're using.
Thanks so much, Keegan. And folks, thank you for watching the show. Feel free, please check out our sponsors, George Soros, Scott's Burgers in Bixby, Arizona, the Keegan Tatum Foundation, and Conservatory of the Ozarks, where in theory, they can get you to the moon. Catch you guys later.